Hey, what's up everyone? Danny here. Myself and two other PC content creators that I'm sure you all know, Greg from Science Studio and Ozzy from Ozstocks Hardware, are going to be competing against one another in a build competition where the entire build must use parts bought from eBay, and we've named it eBay Blitz. And believe it or not, it actually took us quite a bit of time to come up with that name. It was pretty hilarious because we didn't want to use words like wars or battles. Those words kind of feel like they've been overdone for a genre like this, for like PC building competitions. So we kept brainstorming and we went through a lot of synonyms and thesaurus.com and eventually came up with eBay Blitz. But you should see some of the other options that came up beforehand. As a group, we developed a pretty extensive list of rules, which we will be going over here in a second. And if you've already seen this set of rules because the other two channels will be uploading similar videos, then feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp that I'm showing right here. And you can get a little bit of glimpse of my deal hunting for this challenge. But other than that, here are the rules in 3, 2, 1.
All right, so the gang's all here, and we're just going to read off the rules one at a time, and if needed, vaguely justify why we included said rule, so that you guys know what our rationale is behind the parts choice. So Ozzy, I guess, can go ahead and start if you'd like.
So the first rule that we have is the budget. So we're only spending $300 on this computer, and it's for two main reasons. One, it doesn't break the bank and it's attainable for most of our viewers. And two, it's challenging enough to make us actually work for the deals that we'll find.
The second rule is that we must only use eBay for the component purchases. This was kind of an arbitrary rule because technically we could have used like Amazon and Newegg and things like that, but just because we wanted to keep it all consistent, we chose to only use eBay because that does bring some challenges, as you'll see in our individual videos later.
Next rule is shipping must be included in the total budget. We decided to include shipping and not taxes, which you'll see later, because shipping is one of those costs that a lot of people don't tend to take into account in a budget, but is definitely a real expense.
So the fourth rule is that you cannot use any local pickups. Everything must be packaged and mailed physically to you.
And the next rule, Greg kind of mentioned it earlier, was that we did not include taxes though, even though we did include shipping. And the reason for this is because some people don't have to pay taxes and some people have different tax rates. So to make it fair, we just assumed that no one had to pay taxes, but do take into account that if you do have to pay for it, consider that in your total budget.
The next rule is one we kind of came up with actually as we were kind of hunting for parts, SATA cables and thermal paste.
So after that, we decided that we won't use coupon codes.
The next rule is that we were not going to allow pre-built PCs. So for example, no pre-built like HPs or Dell Optiplexes.
Yeah, the next rule ties into that as well. So all products purchased must be added to the final budget. So if an Optiplex costs $100, but you rip out a $20 power supply, you paid $100. So it's coming out of the overall budget.
And similarly, like if you buy a pre-built, just going off that example, you can't sell the parts in the pre-built or any of the components that you buy and then use the money that you gain from that transaction and add that to your budget.
For storage, we decided that the drive must be standardized and we would deduct the same amount from everybody.
We couldn't think of anything else to add in that respect. Like if you want to buy a CPU cooler, tack it into your budget. If you want to buy anything else.
Another important rule is we are not allowing mail-in rebates, which I absolutely love because I hate mail-in rebates. Most of the time, they don't work, at least in my personal experience.
The prices for components that come dead on arrival can be immediately reimbursed.
Next rule is the most important rule. Any RGB adds 1,000,000 points to the final score. We're not including the Windows 10 cost, and that's because you could run the entire system with the watermark without paying a dime.
You will get roasted for it though.
That's true. You will get called out. Be prepared.
Every time. Something else that we discussed while we were shopping was what the line of a pre-built is. Out of the 7 components that make up a standard gaming computer, 4 of them you have to manually install yourself. So you can't buy a combo deal with 5 of the 7 components already pre-installed, and then you add, say, just the graphics card. That doesn't count.
The final rule is that the peripheral prices will not be included in the final budget. And that's just because we're talking about how much the build costs. You can spend however much you want on peripherals after the fact, but the $300 is just solely for the build. Monitor, keyboard, mouse not included.
So we are weighing this purely on performance. So acoustics and thermals are not going to be evaluated directly. Now, of course, if your graphics card or your CPU is running hot, that's going to directly affect performance, but we're not going to actually test and record the temperature or the sound that's coming out of the case.
And then we're also not going to measure or kind of give weighting to aesthetics at all. So it's kind of up to our own discretion. It's just way too subjective and way too many variables to kind of consider to give a proper scoring to.
And then the testing suite, just to briefly run through that, we have 3 different software suites we're going to use. Cinebench R15, we chose that because depending on how old our hardware is, might not be great with R20. Superposition, which is just like a full-fledged GPU benchmark. And then 3D Mark Firestrike, which kind of is a mixture of both, although it will probably favor the graphics card a bit more. And then the scoring is all weighted based on the best performer in each category. So the highest Cinebench score will receive like a weight of 1, and then the lower scores will be a percentage of that highest score. And we have an example of it here. It's kind of vague. We just wanted to kind of simulate what would happen if supposedly the 3 of us got these scores here and then these scores and these scores, average them all up and then add them together, and it'll give you the winner. All 3 of these suites are weighted the same. So your Cinebench score counts just as much as your superposition score, and the same goes for 3D Mark Firestrike. We want to make sure that it was a level playing field in that respect. Those are the rules. And again, these are subject to change in the future, but I think we've already done most of our parts hunting. Apart from the way we benchmark, I think we're okay with the way that they are laid out here. And now it's up to all of us to see who has the best system.
Let us know who you think is going to win. I want to see what people think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since this is going to be on our individual channels, let us know in our individual comments, and then we'll probably hop around to each other's videos and check that out.
Yeah.
All right, so those were the rules, and now let's check out a little bit of the deal hunting process that I went through to put together my build. And I'm not going to give you the final list of parts I used just yet, because that'll be unveiled next week when all 3 of us simultaneously release videos to showcase our end products and how they performed. So definitely be on the lookout for that, and be sure to subscribe to the other 2 channels, which I'm pretty sure you already are, since they're both bigger than me. But yeah, other than that, let's check out my deal hunting. The first thing I'm going to actually look for is the power supply, because I think that's going to be one of the harder things to find, especially the used market. I'm also going to only do buy it now because we have a certain amount of time we got to get all these parts by. You can usually get parts for a little bit cheaper if you do bidding, but the thing about bidding is you don't know what the end price is if other people are also very adamant about winning that item. You can easily waste your time if people start bidding that price up really high, and if you've been watching it for like 4 days, you could be passing on other items. So I usually go with buy it now because of the time that we have. I'm assuming I'm going to need something between $500 and $799. Server power supplies, those are not going to be applicable, but they're really cheap. They're only $15. You gotta look at the different connectors on here. Yeah, a lot of these aren't gonna have the PCI connectors, so $24 for 550 watt. Ooh, that looks pretty rough. Pole work, $25, free shipping from California, 600 watt. I don't know if I would trust this. Infamous, Tom's Hardware, infamous pole work, huh? The one that Johnny Guru tore apart and blew up. Okay. Very poor power supply. Okay, so yeah, we're probably gonna just stick with the standard. In this $300 price range, I know I'm gonna be able to at least get like a RX 570 or 470. So I think we're gonna want at least 500 watts. It doesn't look like we're gonna be able to really get that. Oh, 520 bronze, $30. Okay. I'm not gonna pick these up yet. I'm kind of just getting an idea of how much things cost. So for the power supply, we'll put in 30 bucks. Oops, not 300, 30. So now we're gonna go for a computer case. And I'm basically gonna sort by lowest price again. I hate that the filters reset every time. eBay, why do you do this? Okay, the first real case we see, Ultra, oh, this is pickup local. So they're probably gonna charge for shipping, we'll skip that. Free South Korea, okay, that's gonna take way too long to get to me. The first one is this Rosewell dual fans micro ATX tower. This thing is pretty ugly, micro ATX. This looks like it's 10 years old, but for $26.77, and it's free shipping. So assuming $26.77, we're already at over 50 bucks now. This is the SSD that we all agreed on that we were gonna use. So I'm gonna add $28.99. Let's look at graphics cards now, just because that's not gonna really require much compatibility. Now that we kind of have a power supply chosen, I'm feeling an RX 580. Let's see how much we can get these for. Replacement fans. Ah man, I saw that 4777 and I got happy really quickly, but then now I'm sad because that's 4777 for fans. That's more than half the price, because we should be able to find this from China, but this would have been $86 or less because of best offer. But it's from China. I'm not gonna get it in time. So we got a Sapphire Nitro RX 480. Ooh, free shipping, 89. So 90 bucks is the cheapest we can get there. But that was, let's see how much the 570s are. $65, or do I pay another $25? Price to performance, I think the 570, because it's about 3/4 of the price of this. A little bit less than 3/4 of the price. If I put 65 in for the GPU, I might be able to get a better CPU, but two of these tests are going to be pretty reliant on the graphics card, so I don't want to weigh it too heavily to the CPU. I think spending about 1/3 of the budget on a graphics card is reasonable. I'm going to look at GTX. The only thing that I could really get, I think realistically, is the 1060. The 1070 is going to be way too expensive. Missing fan for 170, yeah, it's way too much. It's more than half the budget. I'm not going to have enough money for anything else. Oh, we got all these fake cards from Singapore for $70. Free local pickup for 110. So yeah, 1060's not worth it. So the cheapest one is that Nitro. So we'll put 90 bucks in for the graphics card. And we're at 175, so we have 125 left. I don't know if that leaves enough for a Ryzen processor. B350 Bazooka, yeah, so the cheapest is like 65 bucks. And we're already over budget. And I'm pretty sure there's not gonna be any B450s that cheap either. So, yeah, $60. We can't do AM4. See, 1151 motherboard. Let's say I wanted to do Skylake, just so it's a little bit newer. Oh, $20. Seriously? $20 here. I don't know what kind of processor I can get. Let's see how much i5 6600 are. $90. Okay, we're not doing that. That's the rest of the budget. How about i3? Just to see, even though I wouldn't get this. Yeah, it costs as much as a Ryzen 3 1200. So at that point, I would get the Ryzen. All right, we're gonna go old school. So it's $56. See, if I went with Sandy Bridge, I would go with an OEM motherboard. So 1155 motherboard. I would get the cheapest one. Yeah, so these Optiplex 990 would work, and that would be $18, or I could offer and get a little bit lower. So we're at $250, and this looks pretty good right now. I have 50 bucks left, and I think DDR3 RAM is pretty cheap. I think we can get 16 gigs, so 8 gigs, 2 modules. Is there a way to sort by not? Okay, 42 bucks right here. Yeah, so 16 for $42. I think, does that make $291? Another option I could go with would be Xeons, and I got $21. But then I would need like an X58 motherboard. The processors are dirt cheap. The motherboard is not gonna be dirt cheap. So 52? So 52. So I could do that, and then we saw that the ECC RAM was really cheap. Oh, what? Delivery estimate? Ah, I forgot. I haven't been looking at delivery estimates. Okay, so I'm gonna actually start buying these parts. If you want to see what I end up building to compete against the other guys, definitely come back, and it should be in under a week from now for when we release our final builds and the benchmarking results. So definitely be sure to check that out, and also check out Ozzy's and Greg's channels for their deal hunting as well. I'll have that in the description and all of that good stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.